Capsule. That's right. Welcome to another Office Hours Capsule. I'm Paul Berserker01 Batman Shelley, your humble host and space top bartender here at Space, Texas. TheAstroPub, your space bar at the end of Twitch. Space bar at the end of the universe. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We got a good one for you. This is a small segment of my Office Hours live stream that I do live on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/theastroPub, youtube.com/theastropublive. Love to have you come by and join us live as we look at the lore, news, and more of Star Citizen on a weekly basis. We also do some weird, stupid things and look back at the past a lot of times. We looked at, for instance, the Drake Brutus. So I'm going to leave that there. If you want to know more about the Drake Brutus, let me know in the comments down below. I'll talk to you a little bit about that. It's a ship that was once fully modeled and almost in game. Explain that later. Or watch the VOD so you know more. We are going to be talking about the April monthly report from Star Citizen from 2024. Now, if you've watched these before, you know how this works. But for those of you, if this is your first time looking at one of these, I do a full read-through. I'm going to read it from the beginning to the end, word for word, and interject a little bit to add some context for people, for y'all who are new, who may not know 100% what we're talking about. So you can give context of like what's been going around. So without any further ado, let's get started. All right. So, monthly report, April 2024. AI features. Throughout April, AI features put significant effort into Alpha 3.23 release, specifically the Copian creature that will be found across the planetary surfaces and in caves. We are really excited to share this new creature and gameplay possibilities it provides. Copians are the first of the creatures that we have been working on and have posed many challenges, including during their development. We also had the pleasure of bringing all the hard work of other teams into the cohesive whole, AI features team. New features added for the creature include ground alignment tech, which allows them to appear correctly situated when moving across the terrain, and the ability to attack in formation. The attacks themselves require motion warping and melee attack technology to connect with the player. The team also put a lot of effort into ensuring that these functionalities work well across different environments. So, as of this recording, there are still a lot of bugs with the Copian. So it depends on the server performance, just like anything else. But it is, and it will warp around rather than attack you sometimes. It really depends on a lot of different other factors. I'm sure it'll get nailed down eventually, but your mileage may vary as to everything it is. But it is very neat. I'd love to see it when it's working a little bit better in the game. AI tech. Last month, AI tech focused on planetary navigation mesh, with the version implemented recently receiving significant improvements. Firstly, they removed generation limits over planetary latitude, which gives stronger coupling with planetary terrain patches, allowing the nav mesh to generate correctly over the planet efficiently. They then improved generation's response at lower frame rates so that movement over planets in non-ideal performance scenarios results in greater and acceptable nav mesh generation times. So, for those of you who don't know, the version that they have in game right now, I believe, they may have updated it, completely doesn't work at the poles. So, in the north and south pole of any planetary body, the closer you get, the more that AI can't navigate around. It just gets confused. So they developed a brand new system that works a little bit better, and that navigation mesh is what they've been working on and what they're talking about here. So because the Copian is in game, I imagine that is also part of it, but it could be that the Copians are only found in certain locations, so it's hard to tell. The multipath code was then optimized to execute faster, which will result in quicker generation paths into, out of, and between usables. The team also enabled future detection code in the movement system component to identify and fix situations where NPCs were standing on usables or out of nav mesh. Another key feature worked on was the Boyd system, used for the new Morok creature. Oh, so it is used for the Morok creature. I was always wondering if we were going to get more Boyds beyond the Morok, or if the Morok was separate or not. But I guess it is the Morok. We also saw like rats and stuff like that, so we might see that eventually too. April saw devs improving network synchronization and extending the system to support audio triggers from different states. Several optimizations were also made to the overall code. Significant time was spent verifying multiple parts of the AI system after evaluating the ePTU optic profiles. For example, the team optimized some of the navigation code involved in the destruction of navigation links and navigation volumes when larger outposts stream out. The Pathfinder was also switched from running background jobs to batch jobs. The main pool that serves requests was split into two to better serve multipath and standard path searches. Moving the calculation into batch jobs allows for increased number of calculations, which provides much faster results and utilizes more CPU time where available. These jobs are lower priorities, so they can always provide space for more urgent calculations and continue work across multiple frames. This should result in quicker response times for NPCs at lower FPS. In parallel with supporting the Apollo Subsumption Editor, AI Tech are also working on the new UI design for their UX design for their internal tool. Progress was also made on the spaceship combat behavior, which is planned for release in Alpha 3.23. All NPC fighters now use this behavior, which involves them using limited ballistic ammo rather than infinite rounds as before. Finally, for AI Tech, they implemented point defense cannons that will protect capital ships from incoming missiles. Very cool. That's a great addition. That last one was a big one that people have been waiting for, because there are a couple of ships in Star Citizen that are supposed to have point defense systems, like the Perseus, I believe the Phoenix was supposed to have them as well. So it'd be interesting to see if they actually come in or if they get stripped out, because I think the 890 was supposed to have some as well. So there's definitely some question of what's going to be in and what's going to be out. But also the fighter behaviors that's been added to 3.23. That's the one that they used scraped player data to kind of figure out how to respond and stuff like that. So there's some cool stuff there. Animation. In April, the animation team worked on various creatures, including 2 predators and a prey animal. 2 predators. What? Hold on. Let me rewind that back. Animation team worked on various creatures, including 2 predators and a prey animal. I thought at first that was just the Copian and the Morok, but I think those are brand new predators and prey animal. I would almost guess that the prey animal is going to be the space cow, the grazer, the Kazi grazer. The 2 predators are a little bit more. Maybe the boreal stalker. Maybe? Who knows? They also spent time polishing player movement in space and prone, which will be live in 3.23, and implemented hit reactions when the AI is out in the open. The facial animation team continued to develop facial animations for various game elements. Art characters. In April, the character art team began to work on 2 specialist armors, reworked a utility armor, and supported requests for the character customizer. They also continued working on creatures. Character concept art team continued developing specialist armors and completed handoff sheets. The hair team kicked off new hairstyles for Alpha 4.0 and undertook R&D on fur. I made a joke about that on Twitter, that fursuits are coming out for Star Citizen, and a lot of people got viscerally mad about it. But effectively, what this is telling me is that creatures are a main focus for the animation and art team, which means we're going to get more creatures probably for 4.0. And as I've been telling about that, I realized what the other creature is. We're definitely getting the Boreal Stalker if they're working on fur. Okay. What I'm about to say is pure speculation. It's absolute hopium. It's no way confirmed. But I've realized what the 2 creatures they're working on are. The Boreal Stalker, which is a unique creature for Microtech, and the Whip Crab, aka the Pyro Crab. Makes sense. They're going to want to have some creatures for Pyro. They want to still have that unique creature for Stanton. So, yeah, I think that's what they're working on is the Pyro Crab. The Pyro Crab, the Boreal Stalker, and the Kaza Grazer. Because the Kaza Grazer is really common, and we've already seen it in game multiple times. So, Space Cow, yeah. That's the three. There might be other new unique ones. Who knows? But Predator. That's the freaking whip crab, baby. The Pyro Crab. Art ships. The ship's team progressed with the RSI Zeus, continuing with the beauty and polish stage. Hey, it's in polish. I said that last time as the title, and people said Zeus in Polish is Zeus. It's like Polish and Polish are the same things, y'all. The cockpit now gray box complete, which established the standard for the remainder of the ship. The habitation area is receiving the last elements of polish, including resolving the ceiling and personal storage areas. The cargo room ceiling has a pass, and the devs began finalizing the walls. The mess hall is nearing completion as is the central hallway. All right, so I don't think the Zeus is coming for Invictus. This is for April, and they're still talking about Gray Box. Gray Box is fine, but they have to go through Laud 0 after Gray Box, and once they go through Laud 0, then they do a bunch of other stuff. So I don't think we're going to see the Zeus in 3.23. We might see it in 3.23.2, or like another dot patch, or 4.0. Work on the exterior progressed well too, which has now significantly increased the level of detail throughout. The team are currently going through all of the sections to ensure that they have the same level of detail. Ships also started to look at lighting, including a pass for every room for the entire exterior. Following this, they'll be outfitted with proper fixtures. Yeah, they're still not even. They're probably another couple of months away from that, though. So, the Anvil Legionnaire is now white box complete. That is 100% going to go on the thumbnail. So if you're watching this later, that's why it's there. It's white box complete, which is good. Though requests were made to improve its usability when boarding hostile vessels. The devs are currently exploring options for collapsible cover built into the boarding tunnel. Thank you. Whoever convinced the team to do cover. We've been talking about that for a long. It got brought up in the captain's table a couple times, and I know multiple people who brought it up because it's like anyone knows who's ever like even sniffed towards tactics in like reality and in video games. A hallway is a death funnel, and that death funnel could go all the way back to the munition storage where there's a bunch of weapons and like explosives without any blocking you. So having some sort of cover is important. So thank you for that one. Whoever did that. Elsewhere, Resource Network was finished for 10 ships, while legacy updates were made to additional ships to support for new section of paints. 10 ships with Resource Network. That means 10 ships for engineering. Resource Network is in engineering are effectively the same idea. They're slightly different in the sense that there's probably more UI work for engineering than there is just Resource Network, but Resource Network is required. So, audio. The upcoming Alpha 3.23 release, the audio vehicle team completed their first milestone in overhauling the ship audio experience with new thruster sounds, which is rolling out to all new ships. The goal was to restructure our process of designing and implementing ship thruster audio in order to unify the setup of all ships and streamline our pipeline. This ensures that the sound designers will have fewer sounds to design, but every asset will have a greater impact. Our objective was to immerse our pilots in hard-hitting and reactive sounds, resulting in a memorable flight experience, whatever ship they choose to fly. Audio team. That'll be interesting, because one of the aspects of, say, like the Talon, which in lore is supposed to have a scream when it dives. So this doesn't sound like it's making stuff unique, though. This sounds like they're homogenizing it, which I'm okay with as well. But I'd love to see that sort of more unique aspect still come out with things like the Talon and such, but we'll see. They are now using shared and extensive set of game parameters to modulate different layers in a variety of ways. This, paired with a more extensive matrix of generic assets designed to fit manufacturers, classes, and sizes of ships, results in a much more granular and interactive experience for the player while giving every brand a clear sonic identity. This is supported by bespoke sounds made individually for every ship to give them a unique flavor. All right, so this sounds more, now that I've read a little bit further, more like they're going to be doing a library of audio for each manufacturer's thrusters. So, like, for those who don't know, every thruster and engine in the game has a manufacturer. So they probably are going to standardize the sounds of all of those manufacturers' engines and then tweak them a little bit when they go around different ships. So, yeah. Finally, for vehicle audio, the teams introduced a very early state of manufacturer-based soundproofing. With this, each brand will have a unique soundproofing profile heard when the players are in first person, to further improve immersion. The new thrusters and audio features were rolled out with Anvil F7A Hornet Mark II and will be utilized on every new ship going forward, with the team converting older ships periodically. So the S7A Hornet Mark II is definitely something we're going to want to hear about when it comes into 3.23. So, because that's going to be interesting. The audio environment team polished the first ambience pass for distribution centers while continuing to develop new static ambience. Although this new system is still early in development, the team was able to add it into the distribution centers, improving ambience for players in these locations. Alongside this, the team finished their pass on the new features for Alpha 3.23, including wildlife. Wildlife does sound really good. Community team supported the month by celebrating Triggerfish for the announcements of the Misk Raptor. By the way, this is an actual vehicle in-game. No, you won't be able to pay for it. No, you won't be able to drive it. You have to find them, but they do exist. The ultimate weapon in the war against garbage. They also supported the April Fool's Arena Commander mode, which is great, by the way. It was it was just the WoW blast guns, but they actually did damage. Community support continued for the Overdrive Initiative, including Overdrive Initiative FAQ. Regarding updated releases, the team published the Alpha 3.23 Patch Watch, which highlights the features and improvements that do not appear on the public roadmap. The team also supported the live release of RSI Launcher 2.0 with a full revamp and application of the ultimate goal of serving as a reliable tool for the community. The Bar Citizen World Tour continues in 2024, with the team members joining Fun in Chicago this month. Those looking forward to the future event, a little more detailed schedule for this year's Bar Citizen World Tour will be published soon. Planning for this year's CitizenCon in Manchester, UK on October 19th through 20th is underway. With over 3,700 tickets already claimed, this year's CitizenCon has already shattered previous attendance records. Almost 4,000 tickets. I think 4,000 is the maximum number of tickets they have. So they only have, as of this writing, 300 tickets left. Those might actually be gone before the end of this month, depending on how well 3.23 happens. Oh, so chat's asking if I'm 100% about driving it. No, not 100% on that one. But CIG did say that you can't pay for one, so we'll see about that one. Making it officially the largest CitizenCon event ever. Despite still being April, the team is already in deep planning for the layouts and key components for this year's show, and can't wait to see you all in Manchester this October. Community team. In addition, the annual community-created System 7 Racing League, organized by Atmo Esports, is ongoing, with the team continuing their support for the event. Finally, the community team published the weekly This Week in Star Citizen schedules, alongside the most recent updates on the upcoming gameplay features in the roadmap roundup. The Arena Commander schedule was also updated to provide better visibility on in-game mode rotation and special modes. Besides these, many other support tasks were done to prepare for Alpha 3.23, 4.0, and beyond. For gameplay, In April, the core gameplay pillar closed out features and prepared them for release in Alpha 3.23. A significant amount of time was invested into polishing and bug fixing, as well as reviewing feedback from community and improving features where possible. For example, various improvements were made to weapons, including enabling and interrupting and canceling of backpack reloading and ammo repooling via actions like weapon swap, sprint, and melee. Support was also added for hit marker sounds, while recoil patterns are now the same for tap firing and holding the fire button. ADS mouse sensitivity is not scaled down for higher FOVs anymore, and the weapon bandwidth usage was improved. For jump points, the team enabled new fail states if a jump drive detaches or stops functioning, and added tunnel push forces from the edges of the map to help players stay on course. They also implemented the first pass of procedurally generated tunnels from design parameters, including randomness to tunnel shapes for variety. Interesting. That's a weird sort of immediate discussion about jump points, which is weird. For resource network and engineering, the team implemented Throttle, a throttle that manages power in one SCU segments based on the updated UI design. So that sounds like engineering stuff. Yeah, they said engineering. Additional item power range modifiers were added, which will enable extra behaviors currently used for heat generation. This entered optimization for eventual release. For life support and room system, the team implemented filters that degrade over time, with the life support generators ceasing to work once all are used. Gas propagation now uses accurate positioning within rooms, while atmospheres will equalize differently depending on whether they're in high or low atmosphere environments. Technical requirements for crafting were scoped out with design, and the room system documentation was updated to enable other teams to better implement their work. April saw work on Maelstrom and the radar and scanning feature. Planning continued for transit refactor, and fixes were made for various analytic events not reporting correctly. For Arena Commander, the team began refactoring the spectator mode and player component. They also updated Arena Commander uses how you uses comlink notifications, and completed the passover various game modes and awards for Alpha 3.23. Changes were made to Pirate Swarm's final wave, which now uses 2 Idris capital ships. Gun Rush now supports multiple weapon lists controlled by badges that can be randomized for all enabled weapons. VoIP and mute/unmute were added back into Arena Commander 2. Further development was done on the Contacts Manager, with the team providing code support for cargo hauling missions. Or missions were added back in, where the players can choose between objectives, and general bug fixes was done. OR? What is OR? What is this? Xylo? What is this? Further development was done on the Context Manager, with the team providing code support for cargo hauling missions. Or missions were added back in, where players can choose between objectives and general bug. That doesn't... What is... I'm confused in that one. Reputation-based hostility was further worked on too. Alongside several issues and improvements, a new neutral zone was added. This was a special restricted area that all players had permission to be in. The NPCs ignoring reputation relationships and criminality, and reacting neutrally to everyone. However, access will be revoked to any non-justified hostile act, with everyone else seeing the person as hostile and attacking accordingly. To regain access after hostile actions, the offending player will need to exit the zone and wait a set amount of time before entering again. Remaining inside while hostile or entering before being allotted time will completely reset the timer. For cargo, core gameplay progressed with the freight elevators, item banks, and persistent hangars. So that's a lot. I mean, I could just go over this real quickly because this one's a big one. Basically, it's resource management. And if it's not resource management, you're looking at Maelstrom, scanning has been mentioned, Arena Commander, Contracts Manager, and hostile actions with, of course, freight elevators, that kind of thing. In-game branding. Last month, the branding team and vehicle teams worked closely to create brand identities for upcoming and existing vehicles within the game. They also continue to develop an in-house tool for all manufacturers, from ships to signage. This will be a versatile and invaluable tool for everyone working on the game, and led to a unification of the different brands across the entire genre. Interactables. The Interactables team completed their work on fire extinguisher recharge cabinets, including both high-tech and low-tech versions. These will be placed in hangars for convenience and aid in shipfire gameplay. That's sharp. Industrial cargo containers had their final art passage, including branding and signage, giving them more credibility as container storage. Interstellar Transport Guild. Nice. That's for the cargo missions. Lighting spent time in April polishing distribution centers, before moving to instanced hangars and freight elevators, with the aim of making every interaction an engaging event. Getting light shows for every time we call up our hangar? Yes. Locations. The locations team spent April closing out features for Alpha 3.23. For example, the Sandbox team completed distribution centers, adding the last elements of polish towards shipping. The team are looking forward to players getting their hands on these locations, and will be looking for feedback that they can take it forward as distribution centers evolve into the future. You can kind of see for this, that's a large amount. That's more SCU than the C2 can currently carry. I think that's more SCU than the whole C can carry, honestly. Might be less, but... The Sandbox team currently finalizing the last few outposts going into Pyro for Alpha 4.0, while supporting other locations teams with their tasks for the upcoming patch release. The Landing Zone team finalized art for the Cargo Initiative and helped out other teams for Alpha 3.23. Mission design. Last month, mission design continued to polish content for Alpha 2.23, including Xenothreat and Vana-related missions. They also made quality of life improvements to missions, including missing persons, and supported content for distribution centers. Did I say something else? Someone's chat's now saying he meant C2. Yeah, I said C2, I thought. The C2 and the whole C. I don't think the whole C has... I don't think the whole C has 800 SEU. Do a quick look. Oh, yeah, it carries 4,000. So, yeah, I'm wrong on that one. Woohoo! Baby, I am wrong on that one. I thought it was like 1,000 or something like that at the most. But, yeah, it's very wrong on that one. So, yeah, that's a lot, but not as much. Mission design. Last month, the mission designs continued to polish content for Alpha 3.23, including Xenothreat and Fauna-related missions. They also made quality of life improvements to missions, including missing persons, and supported content for distribution centers. Work was done on the new contracts manager to ensure it has all the existing functionality alongside improvements. They also made commodity update journal entry a lower priority notification and reassessed what missions notify players when they're available. Further bug fixing was done to the Overdrive Initiative too. The teams then used the extra time until the cargo updates to add additional high-quality content and further polish the cargo hauling and kill and collect mission. The various shipping companies of Stanton often outsource cargo hauling to freelancers through contracts. These job board missions task the player with picking up the designed cargo shipment at one or more locations and offloading it with more destinations at their core. At their core, these missions will test players' knowledge of the ship's specs and their ability to weigh the time spent loading and traveling against the payout. They will see the player transport goods back and forth at various jump points, LEOs, Lagrange points. Barn points. Long story on that one. Landing zones, distribution centers, and distribution centers. These goods consist of various commodities and vehicles of real value, allowing players to get rudimentary sense of what it will be like to have a hauling career. Simultaneously, this represents our first step towards implementing the logistical structure of the verse in a tangible, playable form prior to a quanta-controlled system, mission design team. Narrative. April was a very busy month for the narrative team, who worked hard on preparing Alpha 3.23 patch. This included crafting the new distribution center missions, creature hunting missions, polishing the new UI layouts, and reworking hint text alongside bug fixing. Looking ahead, the team has helped design the upcoming Invictus launch week, making sure everything is ready for players to visit in-game. This was a particular focus for the narrative design team, who looked at the NPCs attending the event. The team also spent the time working on cargo gameplay, providing UI and mission support. Additionally, the narrative team did a lot of planning and pre-production work for Star Citizen 1.0, detailing the scripts and assets that will be needed for its release. This includes looking at legacy work done in games' early releases and analyzing how best to update it to meet current standards. Another batch of lore went up on the website, as well as including a Mirai portfolio, an excellent batch of new Galactopedia entries, and the Whitley's Guide to the Drake Vulture. Online technology. After several sprints, the online services team completed their refactor of the social services backend. This involved porting the services to gRPC, as well as making the updates related to server meshing. Online services also completed work relating to EAC anti-cheat in preparation for enabling the enforcement of sanctions. This is currently going through the first round of QA testing. The team also supported Alpha 3.23 by bug fixing and helping triage performance issues. Over the past month, the Live Tools team helped to ensure compatibility between the Network Operations Center and HEX and the modifications being made on the services side for version 3.23. They're also implementing new modules to assist different types of users. Additionally, the team continued to enhance their internal development tools and provide support and maintenance. R&D. R&D spent April supporting Alpha 3.23. For example, the half-resolution render mode was updated to accompany the new cloud rendering improvements and introduction of ground fog. This mode serves as a good compromise between quality and performance and will be superseded by the temporal render mode, which is still a work in progress. Improvements include the cleaner rendering of silhouettes and foliage, less blurry results from orbit, and better low discrepancy sampling. Due to these improvements, the decision was made to alter the very high spec settings for clouds to use the half-resolution render mode and increase the number of ray marching steps. As a result, players will see more consistent and less noisy cloud rendering, similar to the new photo mode quality setting, at reduced GPU costs compared to the previous very high spec settings. This will hopefully allow for more people to enjoy the new high-fidelity rendering improvements in-game. Additionally, further support was given to the rendering team to roll out the PSO caching and request collection to eliminate PSO cache redundancies and certain shader flags for vertex positions and texture coordinate modification. This is to minimize the number of shaders and PSOs needed to run the game. Support was given to various Vulkan issues that were revealed during PTU playtesting. Longer term, work progressed on temporal render mode. All confidence metrics, which were used to decide whether to keep history data after projection, now also refactor in-scene motion and depth. The temporal render mode was also tested against the various temporal upsampling solutions supported by the renderer. It's a lot of stuff about rendering, I guess. Tech animation. The tech animation team continue to generate and implement new head assets to the DNA gene pool and are not far from completing the initiative for 40 heads for each gender. Many devs are currently dealing with the complications of players and NPCs putting on and taking off clothes live in the engine. Currently dealing with the complication of players and NPCs putting on and taking off clothes live in the engine. NPCs take off clothes? That's new. This has been an ongoing for some time, and with the addition of animation resources into the mix, we are seeing headway both generating the assets for animation and generating usable pipelines to expedite the entire process for everyone involved, tech animation team. Additionally, the team are intrinsic in the creation and implementation of new creatures for both PU and Squadron 42. They've also involved in work towards consumables and the setup of foodstuffs, with the team aiming to guide this initiative and promote time-saving workflows. Lastly, they continue to support Alpha 3.23, ensuring content is integrated, tested, and ready for players. And I get the whole concept is taking off clothes of NPCs equals looting them, but the way that's read is it sounds like dealing with the complications of players and NPCs putting on and taking off clothes live. So that implies that the NPCs would be taking off clothes of players or other NPCs or their own. So it's like we're almost done here. Tech design. Tech design provided general tech support for Alpha 3.23, including fixing bugs affecting doors and fuel tanks not exploding in the new distribution centers. Oh, okay. All right, I read that wrong. I thought they were talking about doors and fuel tanks exploding. And I'm like, there's exploding doors? And not exploding, meaning like, wait. You have fuel tanks in... fuel tanks and doors in the distribution centers, and it's a problem that they're not exploding? What? But I get what it's saying. It's saying for bugs affecting doors and the bugs affecting fuel tanks that are not exploding in the new distribution centers. For ships, iteration was done on weapon balance and AI following director feedback. For the latter, it was easier for AI behavior. An easier AI behavior was created for use in very easy and introductory missions. A call to action prompt was added to the elevator panels for multiple ships, and an issue preventing players from getting out of bed in the MISC Freelancer was fixed. Thank you. Oh, that was a bug that affected me in my first launch in 3.23. For Marina Commander, work continued on the Resource Network game mode, including enabling doors without power to be openable, but not closable. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. Manual opening, but no longer closing. To prevent players from being trapped. I like it. That's good. I like those. Those are some good options. And by the way, for those who are wondering, when they talk about the Apollo subsumption tool, that's not the Apollo ship. It's a separate tool that they're using for AI. UI. In April, the Montreal-based team focused on cargo feature and worked closely with the core gameplay on Resource Network Mandate. This was included getting the wireframes signed off. They'll begin creating mockups too soon. In the UK, the UI team added the final touches of the new UIs for Visor, Moby-Glass, and Maps. They added the final missing features such as the chat window and law widgets too. Updates were also made based on the player feedback, such as reducing the hologram effect on the HUD, thank you, and bringing back differently shaped quantum travel markers, thank you. The team spent the time polishing visuals and making the bug fixing as well. It's pretty good. I would say that the markers are still a little bit obnoxious in terms of their size, but I understand why, because they want to make sure that people could see. So I don't know if making us smaller is even better. VFX. Last month, the VFX team focused on the bug fixing for the upcoming patch. This involved playtesting the game to find major issues that needed solving immediately or identifying smaller issues that were safe enough to fix without risking creating other bugs. They also worked closely with graphics and Planet Tech to ensure supporting effects for water were working as expected and not too expensive. They also worked on a variety of vehicles for an upcoming release. So, this was a pretty beefy one. We're going to do a quick summary here. I would say the big ones to take away are new creatures, resource network, ships, 3.23. Those are the four big ones that are coming out. And with the ships, the Zeus is doing well, but it's still probably a couple of months out from release, so I wouldn't say it's coming out in Invictus. And the they might be giving the Legionnaires some deployable cover. Thank you. That's good. Yeah, other than that, a lot of resources, creatures, and 3.23. Oh yeah, obviously the cargo mode stuff that's being supported. That's still 3.23 though. And some mentions of 4.0 and 1.0. I think like the sandbox team did a bunch of stuff for 4.0. So yeah, it's I would say it's fairly beefy for a monthly report. It's pretty standard in terms of length. And I'm going to get to chat here in a moment, but before I do want to thank you all for watching us. And if you have enjoyed this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and hit the bell icon to be notified when these release. And of course, as always, I want to hear about your thoughts on any of this in the comments down below. Is this good signs, bad signs? Are you concerned about things? One person in chat did note that this is the second month in a row they've avoided talking about the Polaris, which I think does point to the fact that we're not going to see the Polaris anytime soon, which makes sense. Resource network takes priority over the Polaris because they need the resource stuff before the Polaris, but who knows? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thank you for joining us. Make sure to join us live at twitch.tv/theastropub, youtube.com/theastropublive on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Love to have you live here. And now, as I always say, hope to see you someday in the black.